Huh. Okay. Yeah. All right. No. But all my wonderful words have been wasted on the internet. All right. I will go talk about this real quick then. Stop hitting yourself. You know, everyone calls themselves. We're not paying attention. We're not doing the right things. We hit each other. I can talk about me. The OWASP Top 10 is important. It's an open worldwide project, nonprofit, lots of people to donate their time to it. It's from big organizations to small. It's super important. You need to know it because these are what's going to happen with people attacking your applications. It's super important that you actually focus on these first before you go into the farther heights. The biggest one they have right now, and I mentioned before that it was 2021 is the most recent one. It's not updated every year. They take surveys, records, everything, and they work together to compile a real list. So these are actually real security professionals doing this. This isn't like someone just saying, I think this is important. This is real stuff. Broken access control, again, to go quickly with it. This is where people can just get to things they're not supposed to. You need to make sure you're protecting this. It affects huge companies, small companies, all of it. From the overview, you can see it actually moved up from the 5th to be the 1st, and this is 2021, but 94% of applications were affected by this in some way. So out of 100, 6 were okay. That's a crazy number to have. And you need to stop letting yourself get hit by this. Make sure you're doing the right things. Don't let people that don't have access to it, don't have access to it. Check your ACLs. Check your items that are going to go through it where you know people have it. Random IDs. Don't stick with table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't give that to a customer because they're going to be able to see through it. If you ever gotten a PDF and said, this is number 37, what's 38? You've enumerated. And if you can get to things you're not supposed to, that's broken access control. Cryptographic failures. This is kind of an interesting one too. You need to use strong hashes. And this is on you. Again, this is a big point about stop hitting yourself. You need to make sure that you're doing your work, your diligence to know what's acceptable. I guarantee if you work for a big company, they're going to have a list of cryptography that you're allowed to use. So it's important. You can see things like Marriott, databases, all were gone. We're encrypted. Encryption wasn't worth it. So it didn't matter that they encrypted. You have to follow the right information or you're going to have a problem. One thing I want to point out this one too with the OWASP, this actually ships up to number 2 from number 3, but you are going to see that some of these kind of change throughout the years. And if you go to the OWASP site, you're going to see they actually move around, they float, and you can see things. Again, cryptographic failures. Make sure you're encrypting things. Make sure you do the right encryption. And for the love of God, don't leave it there at the same place. You need to update your stuff. Injection. This is what everyone kind of talks about. Like, I was able to get this and it got in there. That made no sense. Sorry. If you're able to put in stuff into a field, you need to make sure it's not susceptible to injection attacks. It's super simple to go in there and just say, well, this is a search box. It connects to a database somewhere, most likely. You need to protect your stuff. I put in the log for shell, but I don't know if anyone remembers Sony getting attacked from a database. Stupid. From a couple years ago, with the Dictator movie or something like that. The one for North Korea. Anyways, but it affects everything. From how you input is what it's going to affect. You need to make sure that you will parameterize queries. That's a fancy term for saying that you just can't build a string and put it into your database. You need to make sure that what you're using is actually checked by the database. So they're not putting in extra characters. They're not escaping things that they don't expect. Sanitize all user input. You cannot trust the person. Anyone who's going to put something into your computer records could just attack you by accident. It doesn't happen on purpose sometimes. And maybe they have a cat that jumped on a apostrophe or a semicolon or something like that. And they broke it. Broke it in production. Not great. Don't be that person. Insecure design. Okay, this one is I love this analogy. Remember the story of the 3 little pigs? Skip the hay, skip the sticks, go straight to bricks. Okay, it doesn't matter if your lock is super fancy, you list best protection. You can just walk through the side doors. I've gone through it. You need to make sure you protect your stuff. You start modeling find faults before you write the code. You need to do war scanning sessions, things like that. Build security from the start. Don't let this be something you don't think about. In the handle example, we're talking about what it can do right here. You're not thinking about how you're requesting things. You can charge it. A common thing is just when you're running something there, can you change a variable you give to the system? Is it expecting to trust the front end? Are you going to have a problem if you trust the user? And the answer is yes. If you can't trust it. Security configuration. This is something that everyone's done when they're personal lives. You moved into a house, you rent an apartment, change your lock, get little keys. Don't trust in the security that's happened by default. So many times people are going to go in there and just say, well, the default is the best one. Don't take the default. Every place from Java, the actual documentation has secure coding practices, to Amazon will have secure coding, not coding, but configuration policies. Follow what you need to do on this. Okay. Capital One, misconfigured a firewall log, an attacker to trick the server into making a request to an internal cloud metadata service. This is huge. Like we're talking about, like Capital One, millions of records could have been exposed. It's a big thing to be responsible. Okay. And if you're not taking care of it, you're not blocking things, what you're going to end up happening is letting attackers see what you don't want them to see. Hardening your system. Don't have extra features. If you're using a server and you're keeping in a rack and you don't ever log into it, turn off the X11, turn off the windowing stuff. Don't give your errors out. I think this is a funny one. People love verbose errors, and they're great for your logs. Don't send them to your customer. They don't need to know your database name. They don't need to know the table names. They need to know nothing like that. Because once you get the database and you can see things, you're going to be able to do a lot more with it. Just going back to the injection, if you look at blind injection versus error injections, you're going to be able to see things and you get that little breadcrumb and you get into it. And there's tools that automate tons of stuff there. With just one little error, they can start getting much more. Vulnerable components. Again, this is a fun one because it's just you're not updating. My favorite thing about this is you need to upgrade yourself. If you were still using Java 8 with Spring 4, you need to move. It is time. We're in 25, the year end of Java. So you got to move from it. You got to have things different. Don't use Struts 2 core from 2015 or 14. Go to the new versions. Stay with the stuff that's relevant. Stay on security. Stay on the newer versions. If you can't be on the newest version, make sure you're staying on the maintained versions, like an LTS release of things. Don't get stuck on old versions because it always becomes harder to move. Just ask anyone going from 8 to 25 this year, and they're going to tell you that 9 jump was hard. A real word one is Equifax. But they're a fun one to have. Again, Apache Struts. It's an old framework then in 2017. Don't stay on it. Internal, external tools, you're going to get having problems if you just stay on this set. A07, identification and authorization failures. I think I found it 8 times, so I'm going to slow down. Don't allow password 123. Don't allow PIN 1234. These are common things, Enforce strong passwords. You want to make sure that users aren't going to have to go out to, writing a piece of paper that's 3 pages long for a password. But I love XKCD's comment about it. It's horse battery stable. That's been there for however long. That thing has 28 bits of entropy. That is what we're looking for. Strong passwords that are memorable for the user, but not easily guessable. Need a couple words in there. Timeouts and lockouts, functionality, MFA. I don't think anyone remembers the whole issue with, I want to say Uber, but it's probably not. The MFA bombardment that happened to a user. They were getting pinged, check your MFA, authorize. And they didn't do an account lockout. It's something you need to have. And they just pressed yes one time and it let them get access into the system. Account lockout functionality is a big one. I know it's going to sound funny, but I remember working in a smaller IT shop years ago, and we're just like a little city. They're like Alabama, where it was. And we had a Windows server and an email domain, and someone just kept pinging us 1,000 times. The thing wasn't configured right. It brought down that server to its knees. They had to cut it off the network just to get it properly back up. So make sure you're doing those things, Maybe 15, 20 years ago, no one thought about it. But it's super important now that you're locking your stuff down. Don't get stuff where you have an issue where people are able to access your stuff and you're just not monitoring. Okay? Software and data integrity failure. Okay? If you remember SolarWinds, or before 2020 timing, we had SolarWinds injected systems. It was a part of everyone's components, pipelines and all that. And it affected so many more systems because it was able to be part of everyone's systems. So when you get software updates, don't trust them. Microsoft has digital signatures that you can literally right-click and just see them. Okay, you can see who signed your binaries. You can see who signed the stuff. Make sure you're trusting the right people and not just downloading things off the internet. I know the Macs have gotten so ridiculous now where you have to accept, if you want to trust to download from a single website. It's an important thing to do because you need to make sure you're not causing yourself heartache in the future because it'll get stuck in your system. This is a bit of a tangent on this one, but Ken Thompson, Go and the Linux or Unix Ken Thompson, wrote paper on the ability to trust a compiler like 50 years ago. And you can't trust it because if they have access to your code and can compile your code and put into binaries, you are always going to be at some point susceptible to what's written for you. And so if you can't trust your tools and will inject things, you're going to be vulnerable. And so you need to make sure you can trust your tools. And this has been a long-running problem. In the example, again, this is deserializing data. Again, you can cause a lot of problems by just not checking the data if you have users entering things. And that's where a lot of stuff comes down to. It's not just trusting external vendors and targeting yourself from them. It's also trusting external users. Are you making sure that you have taken the step proper to avoid having any user input? Because they're going to get you, and they really will. Number 9, security logging and monitoring failure. Okay. It's a funny thing to have this one. If you're going to have logging, it's got to be good logging. What good does it do if you have a security guard up front and he's just drawing pictures of cats? He doesn't mark down names. There's no man trap in the front. They're just playing around their phone. What are you doing with that? It doesn't help with security. It's all theater. And that's something with everything in here. Again, you've got to make sure that you're looking at these logs. It doesn't matter if you have a log if you're not paying attention to it. If you sit there with the logs, you're going to have so much data that you can use, but you aren't. This happened to Target. I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago, everyone had to get new information because Target system literally telling them, hey, you have something happening all in their scenes. But they weren't paying attention. You have to know to look for this. And again, this is why I say stop kidding yourself. If you're writing this can't be a log that you just say, what's a CVE? And I need to know about this. No, it's this important stuff. Your application is going to be different from everybody else's. So you need to know what to look for in the log. If you're building an application, make sure you're writing the logs. Do you expect to see things? Are you doing the proper statements? Centralize and format. A lot of people have a lot of data. And I'm going on this one a lot because if you don't look at your logs and you don't look at the data, what good is to have them? You were going to end up with a situation where you're just like some other companies that have gotten into hot water and they didn't know they were hacked. And how long are you going to let a person into your system? Didn't we recently have the telephone networks infiltrated by other countries? Verizon, AT&T, didn't know how long it was. This is stuff that's happening to big companies that manage our infrastructure across the world. This isn't a small thing. You have state actors attacking your companies. So the last one I put on this one is server-side request forgery. Okay? SSRS or server-side request forgeries are a big fun one. So this is like having like a man in the middle. So what you'll have like a user will request something to a web server and they can just kind of smuggle in another request. If you've got your components set up in a way where you have a trusted zone and untrusted zone, you have to think about the trust on your own internal network. We cannot be, chocolate M&Ms. We need to be crunchy peanut M&Ms. Got to be hard on the outside and hard on the inside. So if you're stuck with that, that's how you need to think about this stuff. You can't trust things. You do not trust your own stuff to do the right things. Stop hitting yourself. Stop letting your own services, your own places in there attack your own internal network because it can happen. Okay. We had the capital together. Validate all user supplied URLs against an allow list. Don't use a blacklist, use a whitelist. Okay. Because with these, what you can actually have is a problem where people are able to malform what you want. It's very funny. If you do like nothing at evilcorp.com, well, what if you just put something behind it? It's still going to pass the filter, especially regex filters. You would have to know what you're searching for, why you're searching for it, and what you're doing with it. If you just say, I want these 3 websites and match this perfectly, you're not going to have a problem. But that's the catch. We're not going to have perfect input. We have things that come from users. We know we can't trust it because we've already seen some of these other issues. But you know that when you get the data, you're not going to punish the user for typing a capital versus a lowercase. I hope you wouldn't. That's just me, And then deny by default firewall access. Okay. Deny by default is a strong practice, and it goes with everything, with all of these heroes. If you have a user trying to access anything from the first one for injection, for any of this stuff, deny it. You do not need to let your users have access to things they don't need, okay? Because what you're going to do is just leave yourself with more and more holes where you have problems in. So, you stopped hitting yourself, now what? Like toothpaste like this one. I don't know. I think it's funny when super if you rank things in the whole place. Okay, it's good to know that you've gotten started, pat yourself in the back, but this isn't a one-time fix. It is a lifestyle change. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't do it once and call it a day for the rest of your life. You have to continuously move it forward toward the goal. Okay? Be the roadrunner, not the coyote. Okay? You guys keep learning. Okay? The coyote got there, stuck with Acme, loves the company, great products, but unfortunately, they blow up in his face all the time. They into smashing out the stuff. Okay? Be the roadrunner. Always learning, never getting caught by a falling errand. You got to move forward. You got to know where your goal is. You got to look around you. Okay. One of the best things that they have out there, which is free, is Portsmouth Web Security Academy. It's a fantastic, free, and interactive training program. It's free. You'll get their tools for free. It's amazing. You should do it. Okay. It'll give you the intros and all of it. Pay for the premium license. You'll actually get additional features like look at the documentation about there. It's helping with scannings, everything. OWASP is a great project, and you need to spend time with it. They not only have the cheat sheets, they have checklists and guides and everything. The cheat sheets are great if you're working with technology. Checklists help you go down like a pen tester would. Test your stuff first before you have someone else come in and get it. Great. Stop running a sprained ankle. Use the tools. Again, we've got all these things out there. If you look at the tools for our development, you've got CI/CD pipelines. Do the stuff with the tool. Static analysis, dynamic analysis, and software composition analysis. You need things to scan your code. You need things to scan dependencies. You need things to actually do it in production while it's running. You would run antivirus on your servers in most cases. You would run monitoring tools. You need to be doing it for your applications. It's not just monitoring performance. It needs to monitor your application behaving properly. Just log in, monitor them in, just follow up with them. Okay? And the next thing you can do is that get your team to help with this too. This is not something you can just say, oh, it's not my problem. I'm not going to do it. You can't throw it over a wall. You got to stay with it. With more and more things becoming security, more and more places become security conscious, you are more and more responsible for actually handling security yourself. And you are going to have to start with secure designs. Someone mentioned earlier in the talks about AI. AI is great, but it's dumb. It's just a glorified autocomplete. It's a model, it's weight, it's numbers. It doesn't understand true contextuality. It's just what an autocomplete thinks it would want for the next number. Okay. And so if you put things in there and someone writes it wrong, because let's face it, it's a lot of GitHub code. I've written a lot of bad GitHub code. So it's still, but you're going to have problems with it. So don't trust it. Don't trust the users. Don't trust the people. Don't trust anything else. Okay. So you connect with me and find out more. Okay. Yeah. Oh, no one did it. Oh, darn it. See, I'm actually upset about this because I put this as a Rickroll. No one put out there, but do you see it? I'm glad you got it. This is really it. Sorry, but thanks. Remember to think securely. Don't trust me. I'm a troll. Everyone's a troll, and they will ruin your stuff.